good to see you again.
Yep,
It's
good to
been a
see you too.
while. Yeah,
Yeah,
you look great. You look like you're happy and back in practice, which is good to see.
that's right.
You've
That's
been
right.
back at ICC. How many times have you practiced so far? Two or three times? You're pretty fresh back into it,
Actually,
right?
actually, I have practiced 7 times exactly because I moved out
Oh,
of
because
my parents' home
you're doing two
last.
sessions a day, right?
Yeah. But I moved out last Thursday, so
Oh
I
man,
practiced
time
like
flies.
I know I can't keep track of time anymore. But it's been a
Okay.
while, so I'm back in it.
I have a few
Oh, I
less
see
questions
Marie.
than usual for you.
Sorry,
Um,
I see Marie. Hi, Marie. I miss you.
Yeah, you can do. Don't worry, I'm preoccupied. I have less questions for you than usual because you have quite a busy schedule. So I want to get straight into it, so that you can at least get some rest during your afternoon before you get back
So I can
into
get my
training
nap
and that.
in.
Yeah, so you can get your
Yeah.
nana nap in. Okay, we're not going to go too far back, which is good because I feel like a lot of the more exciting stuff with you has really happened in the last few years. So the furthest back I'm going to go is 2014 to Nanjing for the Youth Olympics.
Mm.
And the first question that I have for you is, obviously it was a huge deal for you to win a bronze medal in the Youth Olympic Games.
Yep.
No American had won any kind of Olympic medal before, and it's a really that event is really a once in a lifetime opportunity. You get to play it once, and that's it.
Yep.
At the time in 2014, did you feel like you were competitive enough in terms of level and the other competitors that were there to have a good chance at medaling, or was it a really big surprise for you to be able to walk away with a bronze or to walk away with a medal?
Yeah. Well, I think it was definitely a combination of both. I think actually, interestingly enough, I had quit table tennis briefly leading up to the games, to mostly focus on my college applications and
Mm.
SATs and all that kind of stuff. So I actually was lucky enough to qualify through my world ranking. I didn't even play trials or anything, and I
Oh,
kind of
really?
just,
That
yeah.
I didn't know.
Yeah, exactly. So I was really lucky. I didn't even expect to go. Um, but I did start training seriously before the games, like the entire summer
Yeah. You
leading
had
up to it.
quite a heavy training schedule. I remember you were in China, Japan. I think you played
Hmm.
Korea as well, was it? There was a couple of
Yes.
training camps and some pro tours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We were in Shanghai for the Youth Olympic training camp. It was at Wang Qing's
And China, yeah.
club. Yeah, so that was really, really awesome. Sorry, I think there's a call coming in.
It's my
I
turn. Go away.
I think we can just ignore that for now. I don't know who it is.
Because
Um,
you'd also, did you come first or did you win or you came second in like one under 21 pro tour
I
event before the Youth Olympic Games, which was also like quite a big result, right?
Yes, I Korea Open, I think,
Yeah.
and under 21. That was a huge
Did
confidence
you
boost for
win or
me.
you was a final, right? Came
Second,
second. Yeah, I remember
Hitomi
that.
Sato, the Japanese
Oh
striker.
yeah,
She's
your
number
favorite
one.
playing style.
Yeah. I'm just glad I didn't meet her before the finals. But yeah, that was a
Yeah,
huge confidence boost. So yeah, I definitely had like the confidence going in that I could do it and it was a possibility. So I mean, even though I wasn't training like full time
mm.
before, I took a break, I had the confidence and like the belief in myself that I was able to medal and luckily,
And you did.
that paid off in the end. Yeah.
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 I have kind of a interesting question. So before you went full time, which was basically just before the start of last year, you graduated from a university, college, and you studied psychology. And I wanted to ask you, uh, what do you think that completing your education has done for your table tennis career? And also, how do you feel that studying psychology has been useful for you as an athlete?
Yeah, I mean, psychology is a huge part of sports, in general, not just table tennis. I feel like, as professional athletes, we all work really hard, we all train really hard on the table. But a lot of times when it comes down to it, it's those like 10-10 moments, those
Mm,
crucial moments. And I
yeah.
feel like having a strong mental game, just makes the biggest difference. So I think being able to study psychology in college kind of helped me like take a deeper dive into my own mental game and try
Into
to
the depths of your own mind.
yeah try to work through those existential crises and try to figure
Mm.
something out on the table. So in that sense, I think it helped a lot. The only thing is, I wish Berkeley had a sports psychology program. I was looking into that, but they're mostly
Do they
focused on
not,
research.
yeah, do they not bring like any elements of sports psychology into like the main psychology study field or
They do have some research into it, but it's not like they don't
like
focus
main
like
like courses? Yeah.
yeah, they don't have like a class or something, which I really wish they did, but that's another story.
That's another story. Yeah, we can save that one for next time.
Yeah.
Okay, the next question I have, obviously moving from the US to Europe and making the decision to go full time was probably you've said it was one of the biggest steps that you've ever made.
Hmm.
In the beginning, you weren't really settled and you were traveling a lot and you didn't really have a home. You were kind of
Mm.
just bouncing around Europe like crazy. Um,
Yeah.
did you have regrets initially after moving the first time before you settled in? And how important do you think it is for young athletes who are moving abroad to have a really good plan and be settled and have a good supporting environment to really follow that full-time career option? Because you kind of have both sides of it. You went
Hmm.
in and it was kind of sporadic. And then the
Yeah, yeah.
second time you went in, you were more settled and you moved in near where you were training in Dusseldorf and you had a house that you lived in. So kind of if you can compare those two, how important do you think it is to have like really like stability and have a good plan?
I think it's absolutely crucial. You're totally right. In the beginning, I kind of came in blind, not
Yeah,
knowing exactly.
definitely thrown in the deep end.
Yeah, I had no idea what was going on. I was literally living out of a suitcase, bouncing in between different countries, different hotels, crashing at people's places.
Mm,
And I would say it was too much for me. I was really burned out by the end of it. Um, but then going back home and then actually kind of constructing that plan of where to train, where to play league, what to focus on, I think that really made a big difference for me.
mm,
But at the same time, I don't regret like having the first half of my year kind of bouncing around because I feel like I still did learn a lot from that. And I was
yeah,
able to kind of like zone in on where I wanted to train and like my
yeah.
plan developed from that kind of
Right.
certainty,
And
if that makes sense.
I guess having that experience, a lot of the really full-time professional players are playing something almost every weekend. So
Yeah,
I
yeah,
guess
yeah.
having that experience of that pressure is kind of
Yeah,
a good experience for you.
I think it just takes time, honestly, to get used to.
Mm,
Because like from America, we don't have like pro leagues or a system to support professional players. So like
yeah.
kind of going from that transition was really, really big for me, and I wasn't used to it, but it just
Mm.
took a lot of time, and experience.
Now, the second half of 2019 was crazy for you. That was definitely, in my mind, as someone who was kind of spent, I guess, 4 years working with you guys in the national team, the second half of 2019 for you was pretty insane. But there was kind of a turning point for it. And I remember at the ranking tournament, you had a pretty difficult loss. It was definitely one of the times when I saw you that you were really just really subdued and like you didn't really want to be
Uh,
around anyone. Um, that had a really big impact on you, like your motivation and your mentality. And certainly when you go overseas and you really throw everything into what you're doing, you have expectations and then not being able to meet them. I guess for you, you had a lot of doubts at the time.
mhm.
So what were some of the main things that helped you bounce back from that? Because you bounced back really quickly. So from that weekend to, was it the next weekend you went to Pan American Champs? It was
Yeah,
like one
yeah.
weekend you turned it around. So what were the main things that helped? And do you think that there are things that table tennis players overlook, maybe like podcasts or stuff from outside of the sport that could really help them, especially in moments like that, to get themselves back in the right, I guess, the
Hmm.
right zone to
Yeah,
turn
I
things
mean,
around.
yeah, you definitely saw me at one of my lowest points that
Yeah,
weekend.
yeah, it was
Um,
it was interesting.
I was like I think I just lost to Amy, right? Like my first time in
Yeah,
my entire career
yeah.
losing to her, and it was just such an unexpected moment for me, and it really just I don't know, it hit me really hard, and I was feeling
I
really,
could tell.
really
It was one of the most awkward elevator rides back in the hotel I've ever been in.
you could like feel the tension in the air, you know?
Yeah, yeah, it was that was a new experience for me.
Yeah, yeah, I was definitely feeling super dejected that weekend.
Mm,
Um, and it was interesting, like you said, like the next weekend I went to Pan American Championships, and then suddenly I did super well. But I think it wasn't anything to do with like my practice and training. You know, you can't just train one week and
right.
suddenly be
Yeah.
amazing. So I think for me, it was a lot going back again to like mentality and
Mm,
having cultivating a good mindset. And like you said, I think it's really important for table tennis players to look into other resources besides just table tennis things. For
mm.
example, after I lost to Amy, I went back to my hotel room that night, cried in
Face
the
planted
shower.
your bed.
Yeah. I was just like on my bed for like a good 15 minutes, like, oh my God, I hate my life. But I listened to a TED Talk that day. I forgot the researcher's name, but she is a professor at UC Davis, and she talked a lot about trying to cultivate positivity.
Mm,
And as human beings, a lot of times we see, the negative, only the negative things in life, and we really focus on that and can't let that
yeah.
go. So, for example, like she gave the example of the US stock market crash in 2008.
Hmm.
And even though we bounced back after a few years, a lot of people just lost their trust in the stock
Yeah.
market and just only focused on like the negativity and was much, much more cautious.
Mm,
Um, but she said that like we can literally train our minds every day to focus more on positive things and try to look at life with a more positive outlook. Just as long as you could just even small things like oh, I went outside today for a walk for 15 minutes, like that was
yeah.
good for my body, for my mind. Just even the smallest things. If you look at that and focus on that, you can literally train your mind. And so
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, that talk really inspired me to not.
Yeah. Especially after coming off a match like that, because I always find with almost the majority of players, when you lose a match, it's a lot easier to come off the table and straight away, if you want to focus on negatives, you can just go crazy. You can think of
Hmm.
everything. And a lot of the, especially the younger players that don't have that experience, if you ask them after they've lost a match to tell you things that are positive about the match, most of them will really struggle. And so they
Hmm.
don't have that. Do you feel that kind of thing is really missing in table tennis? That kind of resource, like the podcasts and the TED Talks that really talk about sporting mentality. I feel like it's something in table tennis that doesn't really exist.
I agree. I wish like a lot of pro athletes talk about it and have podcasts,
Maybe
but
that's what you can do. That could be your niche.
we just found my future career. I'm gonna
Yeah,
start a podcast all about mental game and psychology and whatnot. But I think you're
I'd
right.
subscribe to that for sure.
Thank you, thank you. But I think you're totally right. Like, it's really, really easy to nitpick the negatives.
Mm,
Even when you win a match, I feel like a lot of
yeah,
players come out of a match like, wow, I played horrible. I missed
yeah,
this shot. And like, you won the match. Like, come on, like, give yourself a break, remind yourself of the positive things you did. And it's important, to really
mm,
train that and train your
yeah.
mind.
Um, so as I mentioned, obviously the next weekend after having that first loss to Amy that you'd ever had, you went to the Pan Am Champs. You won 4 gold medals. Um, how was that for you? Did you ever think that having in just the space of a week, you basically went from quite a significant low to a very, very significant high? So coming off the back of that, How did you feel, first of all, going into the Pan Am Champs? Did you feel like you got yourself into the right mental place to really be able to compete normally without having anything else affect you? And then obviously after you won, you should have been pretty stoked to win
Yeah,
four
just
gold
a
medals.
little. Yeah, I mean, I did not expect that result whatsoever. And I think that was the reason why I did so well, if that makes any sense,
Mm.
was
Yep.
kind of not putting those super high expectations and pressure on myself. I think the main reason, or one of the main reasons why I wasn't doing so well the first half of the year was just because I had like these sky high expectations for myself that
Yeah.
once I started training full time and dedicating all this hard work and effort into table tennis, that I would suddenly, like, with the snap of my fingers, be
Yeah.
like the best in the
Yeah,
world.
we kind of saw the same thing with Kanak as well, because I remember in 2017 when he played the team trial, he was
Hmm.
so close to not making the team. Like
Hmm.
he just scraped in, but that was kind of right after he'd moved to at least moved from Sweden to Germany, I think.
Yeah.
So there were definitely some kind of
It's
set
like
go back first before
expectations,
you go forward.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, like, once you let go of that and just focus more on yourself and how you perform,
Mm.
and it sounds really, really cliche, but it's true. Like, as long as you put your best foot
But
forward,
it's also unbelievably difficult as well.
yeah.
I mean, to let go of the the idea of thinking that you have the chance to win or thinking about the results is probably the toughest thing. I don't know about how you feel about it, but it's probably the hardest thing as an
Hmm.
athlete to be able to just let go of the thought of winning anything
I
and
agree.
just focus on very small kind of processes first.
I agree.
Because, you know, I
It's
was
way,
terrible at that. I was always terrible. I
I
mean,
think,
the ironic thing was though, when I don't know if you remember in Dusseldorf when we played the World Championships, but
mm,
before the match that I won, I'd pretty much written it off. Like
hmm,
I was like, I'm just gonna go out there and play. Like I'm probably not gonna win. So yeah, it's a strange thing.
yeah,
But you know,
it's much easier said than done,
yeah, yeah, it's true.
obviously. I think you know the feeling, I know the feeling. Anyone who is somewhat, you know, playing professionally knows the feeling. But it just takes time, you know,
Mm.
and
And
effort.
did you feel like as you got higher up the world rankings that it became harder for you to kind of push away the expectations, or once you'd gotten a handle over it, and you know, like during those Pan Am champs and around that time, was it something that just stayed with you, or did it gradually get more difficult? Because obviously, as you're moving up and more people are talking about you, more things are being published about you, and
Hmm.
it's pretty tough to ignore all that and just be like, don't listen to them, just
Yeah.
focus on, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I would say it was both. Both because one, like you said, with the world ranking moving up, you know, you expect more of yourself, others expect more of
Mm,
you. But also you get more experience along the way, and you know, having those experiences under your belt and knowing that you came out through like a tough time, I feel like for me really propelled me to keep going. And one thing that worked really well for me was, like, I know people tell you to visualize the match and visualize winning, but
mm.
sometimes this is really ironic, and I don't know if it makes sense for other people, but in my mind it did, is to visualize myself losing too and think like,
That's
what?
interesting. Yeah,
Okay, but hear me out, hear me out.
yeah, yeah.
It's like,
Podcast number one, really, Zhang,
yeah,
sports psychology.
starting right now. So, like, what is the worst thing that happens if you lose? Like, the sky's not gonna fall on you. The
Right.
sun's still
Yeah.
gonna rise, you know? What is the worst thing? It's just a loss. It's just a game at the end of the day. And even though
Mm.
it's like, it's hard to realize that because sometimes a loss feels like the end of the world. I think once you make peace with that, I
Mm.
feel like it takes a lot of the fear and pressure away. But this is what I was telling, like, what worked for me. So
Yeah.
whatever helps other people, I'm not sure. I'm
One
just
of
giving my
the,
personal experience.
I was wondering also for you, there are obviously some career milestones, and I'll get to another one in a minute. But once you'd really performed in a lot of those events, like you've won 5 US national champs, you've won the US Open now, which was another big win for you last year. You did well in the World Cup, which I'll get to in a second. You swept the Pan Am champs. Once you've really got those results under your belt, do you really feel as much pressure anymore? Because you've done it once before already. Is there as much pressure on you the second time? I mean, you know, if you went into a Pan Am champs now, would you be feeling an overwhelming expectation that you have to win again? Or do you feel like there's going to be less expectation because, you know, as a career milestone, you've already done it.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it's obviously hard for you to project forward, but let's say if you were to play another event, like, I mean, the Nationals is a good example. You'd already won it 4 times before. You go in to play it the 5th time last year. Is there an overwhelming pressure on you? Like you feel like you have to win again?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's less pressure because there is an expectation, you know, to defend your title, right? Like everyone wants to defend whatever
Everyone
they
wants to
won.
see Lily winning.
Well, I do at least.
Yeah.
But I do feel like that since you've done it and you realize that you can do it, that's the fuel, you know, to do it again. Like just believing that because you already did it once, why not do it again?
Right.
You know?
Yeah. So I guess that, you know, that's probably changed your mentality a bit. Just knowing that you've won them before, you don't really have the same fear of losing.
Yeah.
Knowing that you've already done it, it's not a crazy big deal for you.
Yeah, but I still want to win, obviously.
I know.
That'll never go away.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on. World Cup. Big stuff. You came 4th. You probably played during that period of time, Pan Am champs, 5th US national title. Afterwards, you won the US Open. You were probably playing, I would say, the best table tennis of your career so far. At least for a consistent period of time. You beat Hirano, you beat Polkanova, you beat, was it Adriana you played in the groups?
Yeah.
Or was it
Adriana, yeah.
Yeah, so and you were the wild card, of course. So again, maybe not as much pressure you were feeling. And given that you had almost not made it there, you were probably just happy to be there. What did it mean for your career as a whole to perform at an event like the Women's World Cup and to come 4th? You played in it before, so it was like a really big result for you. But also, I wanted to ask, given that you were playing really, I felt for you at a very, very high capacity, close to like the top of what your potential was at that time, did you learn more from losing to players like Lu Xuan and Feng Tianwei, knowing that you were playing your best and you were really putting everything you could into the match? Was that an eye-opening experience for you in terms of where you need to go next, or what has to come next after, you know, to be able to kick their butts next time? Because obviously we're all waiting for you to beat Lu Xuan. It's like a huge...
I got 1 point. That's all that matters.
You got Lu Guoliang's approval for that 1 point. That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah. I'm gonna hold that. I'm gonna remember that positive moment in the match.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. No, yeah. World Cup was definitely, I would say, the best competition of my life. Going in as the wild card, I really had zero expectations for myself. The one goal being to just make it out of the group, the group stage, you know. And once I did that, I was like, all right, I'm chilling. I can just totally relax and play whatever on the table. And yeah, it was also really cool because a lot of my family was there. And well, they don't usually get the chance to see me play, especially my extended family.
Right.
You know, like my grandma and my uncle and my aunt, and everyone was there watching me. So I thought that was really sweet. And my mom also came from the US.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And it was funny because, like, I said I had no expectations for myself, and my mom also had no expectations. So the match, the match that I was playing against, I think it was Pocanova. My mom didn't even show up because she didn't think I was gonna
Really?
make it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So she made plans with her friends to go out and to the city or something. And I was like, after the match, I was like, where
I
are
won.
you?
Yeah, where are
Yeah.
you? What happened?
Yeah, so like that just shows you how much I guess of a shock it was to me.
Mm,
But at the same time, it was extremely rewarding and incredible to me to realize that like again, this is a possibility for me and I have the capabilities, to play on the highest stage of the world and to compete with the best players in the world and
mm.
being able to um, meet Byosha One in the semifinals. And even though I was playing like insanely well and on top of my game, her level is really just on a totally
Yeah,
different like
yeah.
plane, you know?
It was interesting because it was a really big year for you, but as well for her, it was like crazy. And
Yeah,
she's at quite a late stage of her career, and I felt from my perspective that 2019 was probably her best year. I don't think
yeah.
I've ever seen, especially in Budapest at the Worlds. I've never seen her play that strongly before.
hmm
So yeah, it was
I mean,
interesting to watch you both play at that. You kind of
yeah,
both playing at your best, which is great for the World Cup semi-final. That's what you want to see.
yeah. I mean, she even said herself, right? Like she was thinking about retiring or something.
Yeah, yeah,
And
before the
then,
Worlds.
yeah, and then she's world champion. So like, why not continue playing?
Yeah,
But yeah, it was awesome to play against her because then you really get to see like what number one in the world is like,
right.
and how there's still so much to improve upon and catch up upon and work on. So it was really, even though I lost, like it was still really inspiring to me and
Mm,
motivating for me to keep working hard and hopefully get close to her level one day.
fantastic stuff. I noticed Christina Tot said hello to both of us. So hello,
Oh,
Christina. It
hi
was a little bit
Christy
further up.
and Manu too. What's up, Bits?
um, okay, we're getting close to the end of my questions. You obviously, after having such an insanely good year, you got the ITTF Star Award for, I don't know whether it's breakthrough or breakout star. I think it's breakthrough star.
Breakthrough, yeah.
And the nominations were you, Wang Chushen, and Lin Yunju. Um, that really, if anything, speaks volumes about how great a year that you had because they were both playing insanely well. Obviously, after having such a good year, it's difficult now to feel like you've been set back quite a lot and lost a lot of that momentum.
Mm.
So I wanted to ask you um, what your plans are from now. And I know you had a bit of a break, but now that you're back at the table, what your plans are now, especially building up to Tokyo 2021, which would be your third Olympic Games. Um, yeah, how do you plan on taking advantage of what is quite an unfortunate situation to
Yeah,
make sure that you don't like disconnect from everything that happened before and you try and carry on and
yeah,
keep
yeah.
moving up?
I agree. It was definitely not what anyone wanted to see happen in the world.
Mm,
But unfortunately, it is what it is, and we just have to deal with it and try to keep moving forward and make the best of it. So it was disappointing a little bit, yeah, to see everything kind of halted,
yeah,
and stopped in its tracks, especially when I was feeling like at
you
the
were on
peak of my
top of the world.
game. Yeah. Or like yeah, like I was feeling really good about myself in terms of like uh skills and
Yeah.
physical abilities and mental abilities. But I think that we can look at this as a positive in terms of, we have an extra year to train.
Mm,
And I feel like I'm still, at the beginning of my game, and there's still a lot I can improve on. So if I were able to take this one year and really focus a lot on training, because I think as pro athletes now, there's so many tournaments and competitions that we're constantly
right. You
traveling
don't really
to.
have a preseason to. Yeah.
Yeah,
I hadn't really looked at it that way. you know, I mean, the amount of time that you have to focus on really making technical changes is quite
Yeah, yeah,
short in the year. So I
yeah.
guess it's an interesting time now to
To work
kind
on
of
it.
revisit. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, because like when you're traveling for competitions, you can work on things, but you can't like completely
you can't
focus in.
fundamentally change anything. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I mean, now that we have a whole year, extra year, this is like the moment. Of course, if you have like training resources available,
Mm.
now this is the moment to really double up on what you need to improve on. So, that's my plan, and hopefully it
I
will
mean, it
work
sounds
out.
like a good plan.
Yeah,
Um,
hopefully.
okay, the last, I guess, table tennis question that I have a block of like little fun questions. I don't know if you saw the one that I did with Brett, but I threw in some. I've got the same questions for you as her, plus one bonus one. But the last table tennis one, having obviously now that you've done a season, at least one season of, I guess, what you would deem to be like a more settled full-time professional lifestyle. What are your thoughts now? You know, maybe it's a little bit difficult for you to think now about it,
Mhm.
but you probably had more time to think, which is good.
Too much
Um,
time.
yeah, maybe too much time. Do you feel like this is something that you would want to continue with really, really in the long term? Um, are there goals that go beyond Tokyo 2021 in terms of playing professionally that you want to carry on with? Or are there interests that you have either inside or outside of table tennis that are things that you want to work on? You know, like a podcast, for example.
I'm gonna start a podcast right away.
Yeah,
No.
starting tomorrow.
Yeah. Man, Matt, you're making me think about the future.
Yeah, I'm good
Um,
like that.
I mean, yeah, I feel like a lot of it is up in the air for me right now. As of now, I'm like really motivated to obviously stay in table tennis and keep
Mm,
improving and trying my best. And I think the ultimate goal for me is to win a medal at either the Olympics or World Championships, because the U.S. has never medaled before. And I think
right.
if we were able to get that medal, it would really help grow the sport a lot in the U.S. and hopefully, inspire the younger generation to keep playing and to do better.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, that's the ultimate goal right now. And I mean, I was just thinking, I don't know, we'll just wait until after Tokyo 2021 to see
Right.
what's
Yeah.
going on.
You're not in too much of a rush to be thinking too deeply, right?
Yeah.
Fair
I just
enough.
gotta focus on Tokyo and then we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah. Okay. I have a segment of fun questions for you.
Okay.
Um,
We'll see.
okay. Here's the first question. Um, if table tennis world tour events or world championships allowed you the opportunity to choose your own entrance music when you were walking across to the main table, which
Uh-huh.
you can, let's say you can pick two songs because I don't want to squeeze it to just one because that's tough. But let's say you pick two different songs. What kind of entrance music would we be hearing when Lily walks out onto the court?
All right, Matt. Well, I feel like you know one of
Yeah,
them.
yeah, the one that everyone chooses. Every
Yeah.
time it comes up now, I'm like, okay, you're getting added to the list for
Come on.
"Lose Yourself" by
It's
Eminem.
there you go. There you go. It's such a good song. Like it really just pumps you up and like hypes you up. So that's
I would pay good money if I went to an event and you came out to that music, and then someone really unsuspecting also came out to that. You know, like maybe like Hina Hayata or something, and she's like, "Oh, this is my favorite song too."
I would love to see that. Any of the Japanese, if they came out to Lose Yourself, I feel like
Yeah.
that would be pretty great.
Okay, well, I mean that's an obvious choice for you. So
Yeah.
that's the real reason that I said pick two, because I already knew what the first one would be.
Oh,
So if you had to
okay.
pick another one,
Oh, well, we gotta choose our music in World Cup in Chengdu. I
oh, you did?
picked, yeah, yeah, I picked Formation by Beyonce.
Oh,
So I feel
nice.
like that's also super
Empowering
upbeat.
stuff. Yeah.
Exactly, woman empowerment,
Mm,
strutting
that's
out.
good stuff. Yeah, they should do that for the US Open, I feel.
Yeah,
But
you should
I'm,
put an award for that. I'm just saying.
I There's no, I don't have a word to put in anymore. Moving right along. Okay, if you were going out to a dance party, which two table tennis
Wait,
players
who said boba song? Is there a boba song? I want to
I
know.
have no idea. I know you're going to YouTube it after this.
I feel like if there's a boba song, I would choose that.
Yeah. Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
You could walk out. That would be a good sponsorship to have. If you went out to like Boba Song and walked out with like maybe a meaty or
Oh my God.
something like that.
Whichever boba company is watching
T-bar.
right now,
Yeah,
please
yeah, if
sponsor me.
any. I don't,
Yeah.
yeah. Yes, dance party. You can take two table tennis players with you. Who are they going to be?
Oh,
Let's say you're in like Germany or Budapest. Who are you going out with?
um, Shanti,
Okay, I saw that one
Chantal
coming.
Mons.
Happy birthday for yesterday. Is it
Yes,
yesterday or today? Yesterday, right?
no, it's today.
It's
Well,
today.
now it's 10:30. It's still today.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's today. Shanti and Manu, we already went out and had a dance party. It was really fun.
Now would be the perfect time for it. That's for sure.
Yeah, a virtual dance party.
Yeah.
Or Erica,
Yeah.
Erica too. You know, Erica Wu, my teammate from
I've seen you guys have been doing
London.
virtual workouts and
It's
stuff like
pretty
that. Some
embarrassing, but it's
virtual
really
Zumba.
fun.
Well, it's only embarrassing if it gets screen recorded and then posted on Instagram. If it's just you two in Zoom, it's not that bad.
We just want to show everyone we're having fun, you know?
That's good. I endorse that. Okay, the next question. You can choose doubles partners. One doubles partner for women's, one doubles partner for mixed. Let's say you're going to try and win the world championships. Actually, it doesn't really have to be about winning. Let's just say you had, whoever you ask has to say yes.
Okay,
Who are
well,
you
number
picking?
one,
Women's
mixed doubles. I feel like the obvious choice is Shushing.
Okay,
Like, I
yeah.
feel like to not pick Shushing
Definitely
would be
going for
stupid.
gold there.
Yeah, come on. Like, this man is a beast at doubles. Like, no one is better than him. Or you, Matt. We could play.
I don't know about that. The last time I asked that was a prank, and it didn't make it to air. So,
It almost worked if I could go to New Zealand.
yeah, it's not off the cards yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. Maybe
If
right
you're,
now, obviously
if,
not. Everybody wants to go to New Zealand now. It's like the world safe haven.
yeah. Yeah, I was just gonna say if your country ever opens up its borders,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. I'll keep it in mind.
Okay, and women's, oh my gosh, I don't know. There's so many options. This is hard. Well, well, who can I say else besides my own doubles partner? Ooh, yeah.
But you can say anyone.
Well,
That's the whole point. But yeah,
well,
no, I appreciate the loyalty. I think that's a good. I
yeah.
mean,
Well,
you guys, Dusseldorf, you guys were really, really good. I mean, you made the
yeah.
quarterfinals, and your match with which Chinese pair did you play in Dusseldorf?
We played against Zhu Ling and Chengmeng
Yeah,
in
and you
Düsseldorf.
guys played
Yeah.
pretty well.
We won the first game. We're like, oh my God,
Yeah,
like, is
yeah,
this
I
a thing?
remember
Is this
watching. I
happening?
remember watching that. Look, Tim's put his name in the ballot. Sorry, Tim, you didn't get picked, mate.
Thanks,
Um,
sir.
okay, this one's an interesting question. Which table tennis player out there in the world tour is a player that maybe you see them quite a lot, but you don't really know them? And if you could choose one player that you would be able to spend a day with to get to know them better, who would it be? And also, what would you do?
Well, I I love Timo Boll. He's like one of my role models in table tennis, and I
I'll
really
put in a good
admire.
word for him. I just
I
did my
saw you.
interview last week. It
How was that?
was great. It was really good. He's he's unbelievably humble man. So
Exactly, exactly. Like
yeah, if
he's
you
one
want
of
a
the best
coffee
players in
date,
the
just let me
world.
know. Maybe I'll try and connect you next time. I mean, you're in Dusseldorf, so
That's
well,
true.
not
That's
now you
true.
aren't, but like maybe when you get back to it, you'd be in Dusseldorf, so it's
Yeah,
doable.
yeah. But I mean, I feel like I would love to know more about, his mind and his thoughts and how he
Mm,
handles pressure and things, because I feel like, there's tons of expectations and pressure on him, but he seems to just like really let go and enjoy
yeah,
himself when he plays.
yeah. He
So,
the interview that I did with him was really interesting from that standpoint because he it seemed to just kind of roll off his back. Like he's
Hmm.
not really, didn't seem to be that affected by pressure, which is like the dream status for everyone.
Yeah.
But I
So,
think he just enjoyed playing so much from a young age that winning or losing never really seemed to bother him that much.
if only we
Like
could all feel that
I know. Well, if only we could all feel that and win.
and win.
Like for me,
Exactly.
it's like when I stopped caring about results, it was like opposite effect. Okay, if I told you to pack your bags right now and said you could go anywhere in the world for a week, where are you going?
Oh, I go to New Zealand. You know
You
this
pick New
already.
Zealand, really?
You know
Out
this
of
already.
everywhere. I mean,
New
I'm
Zealand, I
flattered because
know
it's my
I know
home,
you
but
don't love Australia, but New
no,
Zealand and
no.
Australia
Okay.
together.
Well, yeah, as long as you go to New Zealand first.
Okay, fair enough, fair
Because
enough.
if you go to New Zealand first, then your trip to Australia is going to suck.
Well, then I should go to Australia first and then have lower expectations and then go to New Zealand,
That also
right?
works. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, that works. The last question that I have for you, because we're kind of overdue for this one. Next time you're in Vegas, obviously I'm paying. Which buffet are we going to? You have
Oh
to
my
pick a.
God.
See, this is even
That's
tougher than the travel one.
that's like the hardest question you've asked me this entire time.
I mean, obviously it's for a week. We can go to more than one. But
I
for the
know
purpose of this question,
your favorite is the Wicked Spoon, right? Or the Win, sorry,
no,
the
the
Win.
wind's my favorite. Yeah,
Yeah, the Win. But I
yeah,
like
that's my
Caesar's
go-to.
Palace. I would
I
go
do
to,
like Caesar's Palace.
yeah,
Yeah,
Caesar's
that's a good
Palace.
answer. Okay, fantastic. Usually I would see if anybody else has any more questions, but um, let's say if there are like two or three. So if anybody has
Okay.
any quick questions, because I don't want to take up too much of your time.
Got a nap?
Yeah, yeah, you got to have your nana nap. What is that? Are you drinking seltzer water?
No, I'm drinking lemonade.
Okay, just checking. I'm going to give you guys 1 minute to ask any questions that you can come up with.
Okay.
Preferably
That,
appropriate ones, not like the.
are you practicing that? Have you practiced today?
I have been. Today, no. Oh, this is a good question. Marcus Madrid has asked what your favorite bubble tea is. It's a great
Marcos,
question.
that's a great question. That's also a hard question, but I say my favorite is passion fruit milk tea.
Okay,
That's
passion
the
fruit milk
bomb.
tea. You have
Passion
to be
fruit.
more specific here, because for some people this is a very serious topic. So, do you have ice? Is there boba in
Oh,
there?
oh,
You
oh,
know,
oh, oh. Let me give
I
you
don't
my
know. I don't. Yeah,
entire boba
yeah, yeah.
order.
We want the whole thing.
Okay, passion fruit milk tea, 25% sugar, less ice, and with boba. That's
Okay,
the
good.
best.
I'm gonna remember that. I'm
Yeah.
like I'm
What are
like
you?
white boy boba. I do the
Don't, oh, you do the Oreo, right?
I like Oreo wild
Oh
milk,
no. No, 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 no,
but no
no.
ice, no ice. Because if you get fresh boba and it's warm, then when you put cookies and like warm boba together, they're kind of caramelized. It's really good.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
But if
I'm
I had
judging
to,
you for
but
that.
if I have to do like a proper one, um, I'm kind of boring. I just do like strawberry and vanilla, just like plain one. I honestly, I'll drink vanilla milk tea. Like it's no big deal for me with boba.
You gotta up
Tim
your boba
Tim
game,
Tim
man.
hates the Oreo wild milk. He could never handle it. When we lived in Colorado, we lived next to a Kung Fu tea,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
he
yeah.
always used to complain and say, "I could just make that for you. You're just basically blending Oreos and milk together. It's not even tea, and it's not. There's not. I don't think there's any tea in it at all."
Well, at least if you're self-aware.
Yeah, I am.
'Cause,
I am.
okay, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm self-judging. Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody has asked, how often do you experiment with other paddles and rubbers? Which is an interesting question because Yola has some new blades out.
Hmm.
I don't know who's working in their naming department, but I think it's Vizaris. um,
There's someone is a big Game of Thrones fan.
I know. Yeah.
The
Have
stars,
you haven't tried any of them yet, have you? Have you?
I have not, but I'm actually looking forward to trying
Yeah.
them. And they're going to send me a few because now that I'm starting up training
Yeah.
again, I'm gonna start trying. I think The
The
blend.
Trinity one looks pretty interesting. Yeah, that's the PBOC and the ALC.
Yeah, I'm gonna try
Yeah.
the blend, and then I'm gonna try Diner's and maybe Viserys,
And there's Viserys.
Viserys,
Okay.
Daenerys. I
Yeah,
just always say the
Daenerys.
Game of Thrones characters, you know?
Yeah. Have you tried that rubber yet or not yet?
I have briefly tried it, but I haven't like seriously started
Okay.
training with it. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
might find it not too bad. The AGR is a little bit firm, but the
So
ACC I
you
felt was good for backhand. Oh
do
yeah,
you
I
use
have
it right now?
it.
Okay.
No, I'm not using it yet. I'm kind of in limbo. So I'm the same as you. I have Riser 50 on both sides.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I'm maybe thinking about ACC. The AGR for me was too hard because, like,
Really?
yeah, I don't really play that way anymore like that. I'm a very handsy player, so
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. I mean, my footwork's catching up now because obviously for
I
the
thought
last
you
three
were,
months
yeah.
I've been working out a lot and eating healthy. So who knows? Maybe I'll start using AGR, but we'll
Yeah.
see.
Love to see it
Um,
happen.
okay, there's what somebody's asked what your favorite movies are. I've asked you this before and I can't remember. In that Yola like
Oh, the quick,
snapshot quiz I did,
yeah.
I've totally
Well,
forgotten. But it's
favorite
probably might have
movies,
changed since then. I'm sure you've watched a lot of movies in the last 3 months. I watched
too many, too many.
all of like the big series of movies. I watched them
Hmm.
again. So I watched all the Star Wars movies like back to back. I watched
Oh,
two to three movies a day, and I watched all 11. I did Lord of the Rings. I did Pirates of the Caribbean, Harry Potter, all of those like big. I just watched all of them all over again.
wow. You really went through all of them, huh?
Yep, more or less.
Okay, that's impressive. That's impressive. I did watch a lot of movies during quarantine. Favorite movies, Spirited Away. That's
Okay, so it's
like
the same.
still one of
Yeah,
my favorite
yeah. Now
ones.
I remember.
No, okay, listen. I have more. I watched Parasite, but I watched that in
Oh,
Germany with
that's a weird
Marie
movie.
Migo.
Yeah.
So good though. So good. Oh my God.
The plot twist in that is crazy.
It's like two different movies, right?
You know,
Like one you think
I
it's a
obviously
heist
like I
movie.
watched it after I knew it had won all of the awards. And when it
Okay.
starts out, you're wondering like it's such a quiet sit down talking kind of maybe a little bit of a comedy. How did it
Hmm.
win so many awards? And then whoa.
When the
Yeah.
twist happens, you're like,
Yeah.
what the
It
hell
does
is
definitely
going
does it
on?
doesn't go back. It only escalates from there.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So if anyone hasn't seen it, 10 out of 10 would recommend
Mm,
Parasite.
yeah.
Yeah, that's for now. I would say top two.
Okay. Okay. Well, somebody's asked if you practice new serves. We'll make this the last question. Do you practice new serves?
I'm practicing new serves now. I think I need
Danger,
it.
danger. Okay, good time for it. Okay.
Yep, yep.
What are we looking at? Reverse serves, hook serves?
I can't give that away
Can't
now.
tell.
You're
Yeah,
just
fair
gonna have
enough.
to find that out once the tournaments start back up again.
Or I'll just ask you afterwards.
Or
Once we're not
that,
live. Yeah.
or that, yeah.
Okay, so yes, she is practicing new serves. Okay, I'm going to let you get your little nana nap in because you have to get back to training this afternoon. I have to go and coach, which is great for both of us. We can feel somewhat normal.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but enjoy your training. We'll be in touch, obviously,
Thanks, Matt.
and we'll get working on that podcast, planning the psychology podcast.
For sure, for sure.
Okay, nice to
All
see
right,
you.
Matt, this was
Catch you
fun.
later. Yeah,
Have fun coaching.
thank you.
Bye, everyone.